When it comes to the center, hiding for solos can be difficult, so we proudly present top 10 solo rat holes on the center. Coming at number 10, this first rat hole can be found at 36 latitude and 30.8 longitude, and then here it is on the map. Now this one can be found on the floating island. This first rat hole, I will admit, most of these rat holes on this list are not like crazy rat holes. If you're looking for some insane rat holes, I have an entire insane video on that, so go check that one out. These are all meant for solo, so they're going to be smaller, they're not going to be as big. Anyways, this first solo rat hole, as you can see here, that's the size of it compared to a foundation. You know, it's pretty tight, pretty compact. However, if you're a solo, it does work out pretty well. I mean, you have a decent amount of room to work with in this first room. Then coming up here in the second room, now this room's a little bit tricky to get in and out of. You need a grapple to do it, and it's just kind of a mess. But it just adds an entire extra other room, so overall, not a terrible location at all. Coming at number 9, this next location can be found at 49.5 latitude and 19.1 longitude, and then here it is on the map. Now this one can be found over on right off the cliff of the snow area. So anyways, this rat hole is a bit of an awkward one, I'll just say that one. It is nice and small, you know, perfect for a solo. It's a little bit bigger than the last one, so as you can see, there it is next to a foundation and a bed. I mean, you're working with a little bit more room here. It is a little bit higher up as well, and it also kind of keeps going in the back here. So yeah, coming down here, the only downside with this, I believe there is a second entrance in here. Yes, there is. So there's a second entrance, which is going to be a little bit tricky to defend. But how I see it with the two entrance kind of style is that if you're being raided from one of the entrances, you can easily escape through a different entrance. That's the upside of that. Now the downside is double defenses. That part kinda does suck. So yeah, there's another entrance down here. However, it's not a terrible build. It's not a terrible like spot to work with. And overall, not a bad rat hole at all. The only downside again is just those two entrances. Now you have a good amount of room to work with, so hopefully you can kind of make things out, but I would not live in here permanently. Coming at number 8, this next location can be found at 12.9 latitude and 46.4 longitude. And then here it is on the map. Now this one can be found over on Lava Island, and this one was actually featured in one of my other videos. There's actually two rat holes right here. There's one a little bit farther down, and then there's this one farther up. So I featured another one which is right next to this one. Go check that one out on one of the other videos. But yeah, anyways, here is the solo rat hole that is directly right next to it. Now this one is actually a pretty decent rat hole. So as you can see with this entrance, it is super tiny, meaning if you can figure out how to defend this little entrance, honestly, I don't think anyone's going to be getting in. Now, you don't have too much room to work with here, and the only issue is it does open up again over here. However, if you know how to defend this, it should work pretty well. I mean, fit a nice little compact base in here, I think you should be fine, and overall, it works for a pretty decent rat hole. Coming at number 7, this next location can be found at 90.9 latitude and 60.9 longitude. And then here it is on the map. Now, this one can be found over in the Redwoods area, kind of close to the middle. Now this rat hole is not the biggest, however, the location kind of makes up for it. You're right next to a ton of metal, lots of wood, and a bunch of stone, so you're in a pretty relatively good spot. Now this rat hole is not the biggest, like I said, but if you can figure out how to build in here, it should honestly be a pretty decent build for you, and it kind of works a little bit because you do have a little bit extra room in here. Now by extra room, I mean as a solo, of course. I mean, if you're playing with any more than, what, 2 people, most of these rat holes are not going to work. It's just not going to work at all. But if you're looking to build nice and compact, this definitely works with allowing you to kind of expand out to out here. I mean, overall, works for a pretty decent location. Coming at number 6, this next rat hole can be found at 90.5 latitude and 76.9 longitude. And then here it is on the map. Now this one again can be found in the Redwoods. A lot of rat holes can honestly be found in the Redwoods. So just saying, if you're looking for a good spot to build, go check out the Redwoods. There's tons of them. Anyways, this rat hole is a very, very, very tight rat hole. I'll just say that now. But if you can figure out how to lower down your foundations and build a super compact base, no one's going to find you here. And if I'm exposing your base location and you are built in here, sorry about that. But yeah, so this one has 2 other entrances, but technically they don't count as entrances because you cannot fit through them. You can't fit a grapple through them. I've already tried. They just don't work. So overall, you have one main entrance, and that's actually going up inside. So if you can just figure out how to work with this, I think it'll be a pretty decent rat hole for a solo player. This video is sponsored by Mitra9. Mitra9 is a kava and kratom company that makes seltzers that quite literally make you feel good. My favorite flavor is tropical. Now Kava and Kratom give you a similar effect to alcohol but without the impairment. It's more like a high. Mitra 9 has really helped me get through long, stressful days. Use my code Outcasts for 20% off at mitra9.com. Must be 18 or 21 in some states. Coming at number 5, this next location can be found at 49.5 latitude and 21.3 longitude, and then here it is on the map. Now this one can be found over near the snow, actually really close to that one other route hole that we showed earlier. I mean, it's pretty much right next to it. Anyways, coming down here, so this is a bit of a tricky one. I'm just gonna show you guys the exterior of this a little bit, because finding this entrance is very tricky. So anyways, to find this entrance, come over here, fly down into the corner, and then you can barely slip right into here. Now, yes, going down into a rat hole can be a bit of an issue. However, the inside does kind of make up for it. I mean, you have a lot of room to work with. Now, yes, you can't fit any indie forges in any of these rat holes, I understand that, but as a solo, you really shouldn't need any indie forges. I would just stick with the regular forges. But yeah, you can fit a good amount of stuff in here, and overall, it's not a bad rat hole at all. Coming at number 4, this next location can be found at 93.3 latitude and 57 longitude. And then here it is on the map. Now this one can be found directly in the middle of the redwoods, making for a pretty good central location. Now this rat hole, again, kind of like, I'm gonna be honest, a lot of these rat holes are tricky to work with, but as a solo, you're gonna want a small rat hole that a lot of people really can't find. Anyways, coming in this entrance, this one is a little bit better because you're able to kind of land a PT on the outside, you know, go in and out as you need. But yeah, this rat hole entrance is a little bit bigger, so defending it's going to be a little bit trickier. Now this is not the main area, that's just one of the areas that you can work with. The main area is actually up here. So it's more of like a little crack, and then once you come into this crack, it opens up into this really good sized area. I mean, like, you don't have too much room to work with, but considering how big that a foundation is in here, if you can figure out how to lower it properly and potentially build outwards, you're going to have to build a bit of a compact base, but you can fit a decent amount of stuff in here. So yeah, overall, makes for a pretty good location. You even have a backup room in here too. Only thing that I see is you really can't fit in here, maybe with a zip line once they come out, but I'd highly doubt it. So if you can figure out how to get into the second room, by all means, go for it. Coming at number 3, this next location can be found at 63.8 latitude and 10.2 longitude. And then here it is on the map. Now this one can be found over off the side of the world. Again, don't really know what to call it, but yeah, we'll just call it that. Anyways, this location is actually a pretty decent spot. So you have trees, stone, and a little bit of metal pretty close to you, and for building off the side of this little cliff thing, that's pretty decent. I mean, right above you, you have trees and stone, and then you have metal that is right on one of the waterfalls. But anyways, coming inside this entrance, it is a bit of a bigger entrance, and you have a good amount of room to work with in this first room. Again, defending it's going to be tricky unless you build on the outside, but if you're as a solo, I mean, I would slap a couple possibly heavies in here if you can get to level 100. But yeah, it goes all the way back into here. You have a good amount of room to work with, and overall it's not a terrible rat hole at all. So I would definitely have your main base back in here and just spam this entire thing with turrets, and it should honestly work out for a pretty good base location. Coming at number 2, this next spot can be found at 92.8 latitude and 73.9 longitude, and then here it is on the map. Again, this one can be found in the redwoods, just like most of these on this list actually. But yeah, this rat hole is actually a pretty decent one. So these last two are very similar. But this rat hole is personally one of my favorites, and the reason why these ones are my favorite is because of how flat that they are. I personally love the flat rat holes because you just have a lot of area to work with, and you can make everything OCD friendly. That's how I like most of my spots. So yeah, coming in here, you have a decent sized entrance. So yes, it is a little bit bigger, but it still is considered a rat hole. That's the size of a foundation on this entrance, which is actually pretty good. I mean, you have a lot of room to work with, and then it opens up into this massive spot. Now all the way back in here, this is all flat area to work with, lots of room. I don't think you can fit an indie forge in here. However, I don't think you're going to need one, like I said, but yeah, overall, not a bad location at all. Coming at number 1, this last location can be found at 94.4 latitude and 52.2 longitude, and then here it is on the map. Again, this can be found in the redwoods. Now this one is actually very similar to number 2, so if you're looking for another one that's kind of like this, like if this one is taken, go get number 2. They're just about as equal. I put this one as number 1 because it is slightly better. Anyways, the reason why this one is slightly better is because mainly you have a platform on the outside. So you have a platform to work with where you can easily land some bigger dinos or maybe do some dino breeding. It's really up to you. And then once you come into this rat hole, it actually kind of caves down. Once it goes down into here, it opens up into this pretty good sized room. I mean, you have a lot of room to work with in here, a lot of flat area. It goes decently high for the walls too, so you can easily build multiple layers. Again, you can't fit any indie forges in here, which unfortunately does suck. However, it works for a pretty good location. So yeah, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy. Don't forget to leave a like if you're new and hit that subscribe button. And anyways, thanks for watching.